Hello, my name is Will. I'm the singer of Creeper.
Hello, my name's Hannah and I play the keyboards in Creeper.
The first album I bought was Mechanical Animals by Marilyn Manson. But the first record I inherited was Black Sabbath, Master of Reality. So somewhere, one of those, I guess. But the first one I bought with my own money was Marilyn Manson, Mechanical Animals. And I have really vivid memories of buying it and like being worried that my mum would see the cover because Manson's in that androgynous kind of, you know the cover of that where he's got the fake breasts and he's no genitals because he's looking like an androgynous alien. And I remember hiding it from my mum for ages.
Was she scared what she thought?
I really like, oh, mum's going to be like angry with me for listening to Marilyn Manson or something.
I can't remember. I think mine was something like S Club. I think it was S Club 7.
Very similar records.
Very similar records. Yeah. And then I think that was the first. And then I quickly gave that up. And I think it was then Good Charlotte. I can't remember which one. I have a really bad memory. Probably S Club 7.
Yeah, go with S Club 7.
Yeah.
So, what was the last album you bought or you got?
I recently just got there was a band on the UK leg of this tour that gave me a record, and they were a band from Boston called Energy, and they all signed a copy of this record, Invasions of the Mind, which I listened to a long time ago, and I have some copies. I also have some other colorways at home with the same record, but they signed this one for me, and they're a band I really like, and the record kind of sounds like kind of that Sing the Sorrow era AFI. It's got some like really cool harmonies, and Tank's got a really cool way of singing. He kind of sings like a little bit like the singer of Ignite or something like that. It's very cool. So yeah, that's the last record I got. What was the last record you got?
Mine, the last record I bought was, I think it was Double Dare by Water Parks.
Oh yeah, we just got off tour with Water Parks.
We just got off tour with them, and I'd listened to them like a few times before we went away, and then coming back off that tour, I was like, I need to buy that record, and I literally rinsed it for like days.
It's so catchy, isn't it?
It's so catchy, but I'm not. It hasn't got to the point where it's annoyed me yet. I still put it on in the car when I'm driving.
Which album changed your life and why?
Lots of albums have changed my life, but in particular, Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars, the David Bowie record. I got that record at a time when a lot was changing for me. My parents had divorced, and I moved in with my mum, and I remember going through an old box of records my dad sort of left over, and that was one of the records that stuck out to me. And it felt like the first time I'd found music for me, and it was like mine. That like I kind of took ownership of it, I guess, and. I think it kind of appealed to me for the same reasons it probably appealed to people in the 70s. It kind of spoke to a side of me that was, interested in kind of shape-shifting and becoming something else, and like toyed with the idea of gender and a lot of things that very much excited me, like escapism. And at a time I really needed to escape myself, it kind of offered a world I could disappear into. So that was a record that really changed everything and empowered me to a degree, and kind of changed the course of my life. What about you, mate?
I don't think
S Club 7.
Yeah, changed my life. I don't think one in particular changed my life, but I think when I moved away from Blue and Steps and S Club 7, and like discovered like Sum 41, Paramore, that kind of went down that route, and I think that changed my life because that took me away from that like teen.
Was there one in particular?
I don't know.
Well, there's classical stuff you listen to.
Yeah, like classical stuff. I never really listened to like one specific album. It was always like my parents had these like huge classical collection albums with like loads of Beethoven and Bach and like all those kind of stuff. But I don't know, I have like two sort of separate lives. I have a classical life and then this kind of life. So I don't know, I think it was an amalgamation of the two, and they kind of sit nicely together.
Which album would you recommend your best friend?
Well, Ian's my best friend, and
I feel like you wouldn't need to recommend anything to Ian.
No, we had the same taste, don't we? I'm trying to think what I've been listening to lately that he might like.
I remember recommending Fake History, that I let live to my best friend. And ever since then, she's been a huge fan of them. So I guess maybe that one.
Maybe that one.
Because that's,
I'm trying to think of something I've been listening to of late that you might like that we haven't already been listening to. Problem is, my closest friends, we're all into like the same sort of thing, you know, and from the same sort of scenes. I guess. I've just made a new friend in Jock from Puppy, and I recommended him a Cold Cave record, Cherish the Light Years, because we were talking about Wes from American Nightmare, and I mentioned Cold Cave, and he'd never heard of them before. So it's like the big record they made, with the production being the shiniest, and so I recommended him that the other day. And I hadn't heard that record for a while, and I re-listened to it when I was in the shower in the venue the other day. Really good record.
Which album would you give to your worst enemy?
S Club 7. Literally, although I can't remember what it's called.
Probably Florida Georgia Line.
No, I wouldn't do that.
It's just tacky rubbish.
It's great.
Which album would you use to seduce a member of the opposite sex?
Oh god, there's so many.
S Club 7.
I'm trying to. That would be a very interesting night. I always think of I want to say another David Bowie song because of that scene in The Wedding Singer. You know, you seen The Wedding Singer? Okay, that scene in The Wedding Singer where they're all in that bar, that 80s bar, and China Girl comes on, and they're all singing that line together, each other. Oh baby, just you shut your mouth. I always think that would be a really good song to make out to.
Just to do something.
But all my first girlfriends, I remember making out with my first girlfriends listening to like MXPX and stuff, and like so I guess I'm not a very good person. In my fantasy, it would be something like Roxy Music, but in reality, it's like some skate punk band or something. And you've said S Club 7, haven't you? Or do you want to
I don't know. I was just trying to think.
Well, final answer.
I don't know. That's a really difficult one. I thought, I was thinking Michael Bublé to schmoo song.
Michael Bublé.
I love Michael Bublé. We're very different.
He's got a voice like Silk, don't
he does. He does.
Don't get me wrong.
Maybe he could seduce me with his album.
So what you'd want, instead of you flipping the question on its head, is what album you'd like to be seduced by.
With.
And you don't want to be seduced by the album, you want to be seduced by the star.
I hope he's watching.
Which album would you use to seduce a member of the same sex?
The same one. It's exactly the same thing. I think it would still be China Girl. Or would yours still be Michael Bublé?
Yeah.
It makes no difference to me.
Which album do you listen to while driving?
Black is Beautiful by Let Live. I'm a huge Let Live fan, and at the moment it's between that and Double Dare by Waterparks, because I had to delete loads of music off my phone because I've got no storage left, and those two were two that survived. So I'm literally it's getting to the point now I'm like, wow, I really need to get some more music in my life.
I don't drive, but I'm always with everybody else while we're driving transit, I guess. I'm like one of those horrible people who just never had any money to learn how to drive, so I just never did. But when I'm travelling, I listen to the Sisters of Mercy, Floodlands, that record a lot, because I think it's a really good journey as well, and it's got some of the songs were produced by Jim Steinman, which is someone I really like. So a lot of the Sisters stuff, and I like Floodland the best because I think it it's a much more solid vision, and I think it's the idea is a lot more there and at the forefront, and I think it's a really, really good piece of work, and it's a really good travelling music because it takes you, the songs kind of build up and build and swell, and so that's what I listen to, I suppose, when we're driving.
Which album would you have loved to play on?
I think I just make every record worse if I was to play on them. Let me think. I'm a big Tiger Army fan, and we toured with Tiger Army in America, and I would listen to them play songs from the Power of Moonlight record, and I'd always sing from the back, and I always, I'd love to come and sing on this. It'd be really fun. So I guess something like Cupid's Victim or something like that. I'd love to have sung on that, I guess, or done some backup vocals or something.
I'd love to do something on like anything Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons, or any Jersey Boys, the musical album of that.
I can see that.
That
I
would
can
be
see that
so
happening.
good. Yeah, every time.
Either that or S Club 7, right?
Either that or S Club 7. Yeah. I mean, I really wanted to be. I nearly auditioned to be in S Club Juniors, but I was
No, you didn't.
I did. I think I was too old. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. Yeah, Jersey Boys soundtrack, or Ludovico Einaudi is one of my classical composer heroes. I wish I could play the piano like he could, but
So you'd like to play his record, would you?
I'd like to play his record.
Ruin his record.
I've got his whole collection, piano book collection.
Can you play it?
Some of them are a bit hard.
Name your favorite albums in your parents' record collections.
They're all in my collections now. I've inherited them all, I guess. Okay. Avalon, Roxy Music. I listened to that record loads when I was a kid. A lot my dad was into loads of T-Rex and things. My mum was into Queen. So I think a lot of my kind of glam leanings come from them, inherited from them. REM. I don't know. Actually, the records that I like in my parents' collection are the ones I think were a bit more challenging as well. As back in Berlin, the Brian Eno, David Bowie records that never really got played when I was a kid. I think they bought them assuming they'd sound like Aladdin Sane, and they didn't at all. Those are very interesting to me now, as I get older, and I think about them a lot when I'm here. So I guess there's a lot of that. Like the Water Boys, I like the Water Boys a lot. I'd definitely take that, and In Excess, all of that sort of stuff is what my parents were into.
Duran Duran.
Oh, Duran Duran.
Yeah, my dad was. I don't really know. My dad was always away all the time, so I didn't really get to know his music taste that much. But I remember my mum would always put on Duran Duran. I think it was just Duran Duran Greatest Hits.
Oh, brilliant.
It was
You sound like Alan Partridge.
sick. Greatest Hits. And we used to we always used to go on holiday to Cyprus, and we'd always listen to it. Now when I listen to them, it makes me think of Cyprus. So probably Duran Duran.
Duran Duran.
I love Duran.
Which one is the most embarrassing album in your own record collection?
I don't know. I think they're embarrassing for different people, depending on who I'm with. I really like Cyndi Lauper, so I'm not embarrassed about that, but other people would be embarrassed of me, and they're idiots. But that record, he's so unusual. That record is incredible. It's got an amazing Prince cover on there. Money Changes Everything, and she hits these insane notes on that record. And when I come in and I'm drunk or whatever, I always put that record on and try and sing those notes back in my head. You'd probably be alright. But she used to, Cyndi Lauper used to take in just helium from a balloon to hit the squeaky high notes.
Right up there.
Maybe that's why she has to start doing it.
Mine, I think, my guilty pleasures are Little Mix, Florida Georgia Line. I'm saying these to you because I know that you'll be embarrassed that I've said this.
I am embarrassed of you.
So they will be them. Yeah.
Which song do you sing in the shower?
Oh, I sing quite a lot in the shower.
I was singing one the other day and I can't remember what it was. Oh, I remember what it was.
What was it?
How many roads must a man walk down? But I don't normally sing that in the shower. I don't actually sing in the shower, ever. Because although I sing...
You sing that Elvis Presley song constantly.
Oh, which one?
Your favourite song?
Yeah, my favourite song ever, which I now can't sing because I feel I don't know. Come back to. I'll think of it.
I always I'm trying to think of what sort of songs I sing. I sing all the time. Only when I'm happy though. I'm trying to think what's my go-to one. Kira gets so annoyed with me because I'm always singing. Sing the songs from the Rocky Horror Picture Show a lot in the shower. Just because I love doing that vibrato thing that I always do. I listen to the soundtrack to the Phantom of the Paradise. There's some really great songs on there. Like the song Faust, I always sing that quite a lot.
You Were Always on My Mind.
That's your song, yeah.
That is literally my favourite song. So I guess maybe, but I normally sing it in my head.
I like the songs from the Little Shop of Horrors. Like, I think it's for some reason in the shower I just see that as like some weird little performance I'm giving. You know, like I'm doing some sort of medley of kind of spooky musicals over the years. You know.
Someone asked you to recommend a 70s album. Which one would you advise?
Oh my goodness.
Bat Out of Hell. Because at the time, I suppose there was like a disco and stuff going on, wasn't there? And Bat Out of Hell always seemed like a record that was like the antithesis of disco, and it was even though it kind of riffed on some of those elements and was very interesting. And it seemed like the problem with Bat Out of Hell on the Meatloaf records is they're seen as like a novelty, and I don't think that's an accurate representation of their place in history. We're talking about one of the biggest selling records of all time, a record that kind of transcends lots of genres as well. So that record I think is incredibly well written by Jim Steinman, and what an exciting little bit of theatre in amongst them. My dad used to wear flares, like big white flares and platform boots, but in amongst all of that kind of that sort of stuff, I guess it's really cool to have had something like that. Like, have you ever seen the footage of Meatloaf on the Old Grey Whistle test? And he's doing Paradise by the Dashboard Light. And it's this most ridiculous thing. It's amazing. It's like a really cool bit of theatre combined with like rock and roll, and it was like the opposite of what was going on at the time. Really, very exciting. What about you?
I don't know. I was just thinking.
All of the great records came out then, anyway. I guess you had a lot of the glam rock stuff as well towards the end of that period. And
I was going to say ABBA then. Was that 70s? I don't know.
Well,
I have no idea. I literally wasn't alive then, so I probably I don't go far that back. I don't go that far back. I'm not very
anything that predates S Club 7, you know.
Definitely not. No.
An 80s album?
80s album as well.
Again, this is very difficult.
No,
for me.
it's good for me.
Yeah, it's great for you. I'm going to sit here and listen to you, and you can answer this question.
Sorry, mate. I think the 80s was often seen as a really bad time for popular music. Like it seemed like lots of people seem to really hate it for some reason. I don't know why. But I like a lot of what came out at the time. A lot of the new romantic stuff, I guess, really appealed to me. I think maybe it has something to do with my interest in like aesthetic over everything else. There's a lot of really cool stuff going on, like the goth scene as well. I'm trying to think of a particular record I could pick out. Well, this is where all of the Duran Duran and all that stuff kind of sits, so this is probably a bit more your wheelhouse here. And I guess you had like Huey Lewis and the News in this sort of era as well. There's a lot of very good music from that sort of era. I'm trying to think of one particular record I can pick out. What could I say? And like Flock of Seagulls and stuff like that. Stuff that's really like people would see as really silly, but like now. And but that's really, really cool. Tears for Fears. Let's go with that. And which song would we choose? Everybody Wants to Rule the World.
Yeah.
That's from that era. And that's a very good song. And it's one of those songs, again, that everyone fucking knows. It comes on, everyone sings. Every time it comes on a wedding or something, everyone sings it. And I always feel that's a really good telltale sign of a long-lasting record. If it comes on at a wedding you're at, and your dad is singing it along with your kind of like little niece, kind of all that age range of people are singing all together, that's how you know it kind of lasts longer than just a flash in the pan like a lot of music is these days.
Yeah.
So yeah, Tears for Fears.
So what about the 90s?
S Club 7.
I'm not even laughing at that anymore.
That's not actually that funny now, is it?
The 90s. The 90s is actually my least favourite era of music, I think. I know, like, it's like I wasn't as into like the grunge stuff as much as my friends were. I think I like the whole rock and roll. For me is all about dress up and theatre and like attitude, I guess. And the 90s was like the opposite of that. It was about just being as you are and like and the rebellion of like Nirvana and stuff, I suppose. Was never something that fell directly to me. I know Ian likes some of that stuff quite a lot. But there was still some good music in there as well. Some gems. I'm trying to think towards the end of that, what we had going on. So at the end of the 90s, you had like those punk bands coming through. So you had we're talking like all of that old hardcore as well, like from the Bay Area hardcore stuff. Like Black Sails in the Sunset came out in 1999. So I'll say that Black Sails in the Sunset by AFI. And actually, in fact, loads of records came out. The Offspring had some great records then. Like, it was a good year for punk rock, I think, as well. So yeah, like I remember buying Smash and records like that. I was still quite a young man in those areas, and I remember the thing about the 90s is I grew up then. Like the 70s and the 80s, you hear about, and you put them in a part of your mind that builds like a world of fantasy, and it doesn't seem quite real. But the 90s I remember living in, and all the awful fashion. It was just, I just wasn't into any of that stuff. I really begrudge growing up in the era I've grown up in. I wish I could have grown up in my dad's era. I wish I could have had a painted face and worn like a sparkly like cardigan and been involved in glam rock and gone to see Mark Bolan or something. But instead I grew up in the 90s where everyone was listening to grunge and taking LSD and stuff. It was just never for me. But yeah, the punk rock, I guess, like AFI, Black Sails in the Sunset, The Offspring, Smash. What other great records were there from that time? I guess you had all of the Rancid stuff towards the end of the day as well. Like a lot of that sort of stuff I was really into. So yeah, I guess like a lot of the 90s punk rock stuff. Anything for you?
No.
Nothing at all from you.
Nothing at all from me.
So what about the 2000s? Which album?
So this is when I started becoming like your taste. My taste was probably developing in the 2000s. So in the 2000s, what was I listening to? I got into loads of nu metal around that sort of period. Really regrettably into like into a lot of that stuff. I was never into like Limp Bizkit or anything, but I tell you what, like I loved Slipknot when I was a kid, and when we got Sunday Overrun, that was a really big deal for me because I still think they're a really incredible band. So the first Slipknot record, I remember being terrified by it. It was just unlike anything else I'd had at the time. The first Slipknot record. I remember the record store I bought it from, and you can tell when something's been significant to you culturally when you can remember the store you bought it from. Also in that era, I got into like more into hardcore, I guess, as well. And so a bunch of hardcore bands from around the time. I'm trying to think of anything I can really pull from that era, but most of those bands are still my favourite bands now. Like I was loving all the things that like My Chemical Romance were doing, I guess, and that whole emo kind of thing. Then I loved like Poison the Well, and I remember going to see like I guess I was into like Alexis on Fire and stuff like that. Like I remember seeing a bunch of that stuff when I was a kid growing up.
Yeah, that's when I started
The
going down
2000s.
the Panic at the Disco, Hawthorne Heights,
You're super emo.
Silverstein, emo route. Yeah.
I was always into like metalcore and emo, and so I liked like a combination of the two. Lots of that was coming out on Trustkill and stuff at the time was really cool. It's weird when you pick a time like that, because if you ask me like to name you like my 20 favourite bands, I could probably do that really easy. But to think of that time period, and all I can think about is what awful haircuts I had at the time. I decided that I was going to have a devil lock, and I decided I was going to cut it myself, and so I grew the front out and shaved all the rest of my hair, like to this sort of length all around the rest of it, and it just looked so awful because I have such like horrible white English person hair. There's no like curl or like kind of, you know, it doesn't. It's so straight and gross. Thanks, mate, but. Yeah, it was. It just looked awful. I had such a series of bad haircuts in the 2000s. I think that probably reflected about a lot what I was listening to as well. Did you ever have anything like that, Hannah? Did you have an emo fringe?
Yeah, oh my gosh. Yeah, I was in school once in art class. I said to my friend, I was like, do you want to just give me an emo fringe? And
art class?
Yeah, in art class. She picked up those, remember those red scissors?
Oh, yeah.
Just the plastic.
Child safety
scissors. And I had like really thick hair at the time. And she just got my hair and just went straight across.
Oh my God.
I've got a picture of it somewhere and it was just like dung, but. And I got home and my mum was just like, what have you done? And then I had to like have some sort of proper fringe cut back into it.
I wish I knew you when I was growing up. I'd love to have seen these crazy parts of your life.
Strange.
I'll tell you what I really liked as well. I liked Funeral for a Friend, and they were a band that were really important to me because they were a band that introduced me to lots of different stuff.
Yeah.
And they were one of those bands that I loved as soon as they came out, and I got to watch them grow and progress. Like I remember getting Between Order and Model, that first EP, and just being blown away by that. I think it was amazing, and I got into loads of my local hardcore bands. So it was like bands like Jets vs Sharks. You probably don't know them, but they were like a really good bands. And there was lots of good stuff going on in the UK at the time. I remember going to my first gigs in the 2000s. I went to Ozfest in 2001, I think, and I saw Amen. I thought they were really good, and I went to see them a bunch of times when I was younger. Saw like Slipknot there. Saw Raging Speedhorn, Gordon's band. One of the players is a tour manager for Milk Teeth now, so I really like them. And so I saw a lot of stuff. So I saw my early gigs there. I remember seeing the next year seeing Cradle of Filth and Slayer and Tool and all those great bands. Like lineups now you dream of, you know, but they at the time they were you could just go see them every year. And it's kind of strange how those bands are still the headline bands now. They've not really been replaced by anyone. It's quite worrying that there's not really been any artist as big as those since then. But yeah, I was into a lot of stuff growing up around that period. That was like my formative years of getting into punk rock, I guess.
So, if Creeper had to be summed up in one of your own songs, which one would it be?
Oh, Down Below, maybe.
Yeah.
Down Below is like a mixture of a lot of different sounds, I guess,
Yeah.
and it starts from being a punk rock song and turns into something very theatrical and Steinmany at the end, and I think that kind of shows where the band's gone as well. Yeah, 'cause it starts off as a punk band and it's become something more theatrical, I guess. So yeah, Down Below from the new record, which you can buy now. Hey, we missed out a massive part of the 90s, by the way. Pulp and all the Brit rock stuff. So like, Pulp are like a band I absolutely love. Jarvis Cocker is like one of my heroes. So Pulp would be my 90s record, and it would be Different Class. That record was really important to me, so that's why we were my 90s record. Anyway, sorry to go back.
That's cool. So one last question for you. So which song would you like to play at your funeral?
Oh. I went through a phase of thinking about this a lot, actually, because like the funeral you have is like your last great show, isn't it? I suppose, and you should, I feel like they need to have some sort of hand in that. I need to hire some of our guys to kind of put the show on. You might have to Jake to do lights and stuff. I think I'd have something. I'd either have something really sad or something really inappropriate, like a Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds song or something. Perhaps like Stagger Lee by Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, something completely inappropriate for the occasion. Let's weird everybody out.
That's always the best though.
Ian told me he went to a funeral once where they played Scooter. And Scooter!
Oh
You know?
my gosh.
And I've always felt like that was a really good thing because he always tells everybody about that funeral, and that's a nice thing to remember, isn't it? Like, the funeral where the inappropriate song was played. I have been to every single one of the funerals I've been to. Angels by Robbie Williams has played.
Really?
Yep. My family all love Robbie Williams. Absolutely love
So
him.
funny.
It seems to be like the ultimate funeral song, doesn't it? Though.
Yeah. I
I'm
always-
loving angels instead. You know.
Oh yeah, I guess. I don't know what mine would be. I think it would probably be something like "You Were Always on My Mind" because that is my ultimate favourite song.
Okay,
I'd
I'll make a note of that for when you die because I will live past you.
Yeah, you
and
probably will.
then I'll play that song.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Cheers, man. It's so hard to think about it on the spot.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
I am